Hello, this is Trends. I am Bumi Obanao, and as always, I have on set with me Moses Omogena, the online producer, Moses.
Of course, of course.
What's happening online?
I know that was the next question.
Of course.
Well, a lot as usual. Basically, Nigeria and South Sudan seems to be trending amongst other topics. Now, first of all, let's go to South Sudan. Sadly, there's been a recent crisis where at least 200 people were killed by rebels. And, you know, the for and against the vice president and the presidential camp. So there's been, you know, a lot of, you know, quest to seize power and oil regions in South Sudan, hence, you know, the bloodshed. And next is what we call hashtag bring back our girls. Now, we know that in few days back, the Boko Haram insurgents, you know, kidnapped about 200 girls from Chibok in Borno State. And, you know, there was this misinformation that went around that, you know, 8 girls remaining to be rescued. But the reverse was the case. In fact, it was only 8 girls, you know, about 8 girls that actually escaped during the abduction. So now there's been a solidarity page on Twitter that, you know, goes out there to find and make, you know, efforts to bring these girls to safety. Now the federal government, you know, and security forces, you know, the general public seem to, you know, query them because there's this, what I would call a laid-back attitude in actually looking for these girls and rescuing them. And sometime last week, the Director General of the SSS made an official apology, you know, apologizing for the misinformation that was sent out there. Okay. So basically, that's it. And for those who are still sending in their tweets and comments, please feel free to join the conversation by sharing your views with us via Twitter at TrivsyTrends, comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/TrivsyTrends, and send your pictures and video comments to the trends@tvcnews.tv. So, I'm coming back to you, Bumi. What are we talking about today?
Okay, so barely 10 months as the manager of Manchester United, David Moyes has been sacked. Now, David, who was picked by fellow squad Sir Alex Ferguson as his successor, was dismissed 4 games before the end of what has been called Manchester United's worst Premier League season. Now, the team lost 11 of its 34 league games under Moyes and is in the 7th place. It used to be first, now it's 7th. Now, and this is coming a year after winning a record 20th English title. Now, today on the program, we examine the aftermath of his sack, the reaction of the fans, and succession plans. So there's a lot to look at here. But first of all, let's take a look at this, and we'll be right back.
Manchester United have sacked manager David Moyes after just 10 months in the job. On Monday, there had been widespread speculation regarding Moyes' future, with several national newspapers suggesting the club's owners had already made the decision to relieve the Scotsman of his duties. And Manchester United gave official confirmation of the news this morning. Moyes had initially signed a 6-year contract and will be due substantial compensation as a result of his sacking. David Moyes has endured a torrid time as manager at Old Trafford after succeeding Sir Alex Ferguson, who retired in the summer. Last season's champions currently lie 7th in the Premier League table. Borussia Dortmund's Jurgen Klopp and current Holland manager Louis van Gaal are the bookies' favourites to take over the helm. A plane recently flew over Old Trafford with a banner conveying the thoughts of an unhappy group of Manchester United supporters.
Now that's pretty interesting. I should point out that Moyes is going to be the first manager that has been sacked since 1986. So he's breaking a record in his own way.
You can say that again. You know, he's so trending right now on Twitter. In fact, reports say that the name Moyes has been used at least 1.5 million times in just 24 hours.
He's famous.
In fact, you have hashtag Moyes sacked, hashtag Moyes out, hashtag save Moyes. I mean, even Michael Jackson's name didn't even get that much, you know, trend on Twitter. So, you know, it's been a bad year for him. It's been a bad period for him. And some people seem to be empathetic about him, and others, you know,
not
they
so
really,
much. So there's a lot to talk
not so
about.
much.
And joining us to discuss this issue is Deji Omotoyinbo. He's a sports analyst and an avid Manchester United fan. And via Skype, we have Chuks Okunwowani of FA Level 2 coach. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
So Deji, thanks for being a part of this show, and Chuks as well. Thank you for being a part of this show. Okay, let me start with you, Deji.
Yeah.
Man U have had a good last season, but from what we've heard now, this is the worst Premier season they've had, and they did not even qualify for the Championship League, something has not happened since 1995 or so.
Yeah.
What went wrong?
Well, I think I really don't buy into the Moyes is the problem general feeling that everybody's had. I really feel that the Manchester United hierarchy bungled Sir Alex's succession. You've had a manager who's been successful for so long, for 20-something years. I think they did not put a proper plan in place to adequately replace him. I felt it was rushed. I felt it was not well thought out. And I felt the fact that two key men left at the same time. Alex Ferguson left, David Gill left. I felt that was a paradigm shift that should have been taken into consideration, and you should have helped the new man adequately settle on the job. While I agree that Moyes made a lot of mistakes on the footballing front, I just feel that the transition for him, the United hierarchy did not adequately give him the support structures he needed. For instance, David Gill left. Ed Woodward, relatively inexperienced at this level, came in as managing director. They just couldn't make the transfer deals they needed to make. Contrast that to Bayern Munich. Jude Heynckes was leaving. He had a successful year last time out. Pep Guardiola knew 9 months ahead that he was going to become Barcelona manager. He knew way ahead. He had plotted his plans. He made his plan. He identified the players. The moment he stepped in, the deals were made within 2-3 weeks of him coming in. And then he's come on and he's been successful this season already.
Okay.
So I just feel that Moyes was not, he was thrown at the deep end. He had his own limitations, agreed, but he wasn't helped by the United hierarchy, who should have known better and learned from history, because United have been here before. And a similar thing happened. Sir Ramsey was very successful. He left, and then we went into this spiral of changing managers, looking for success and all that. I just felt that we should have had a better transition.
In your opinion, you probably give a 70-30%, 30.
Yeah, I would.
I think you were saying that earlier.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. I would say Moyes. I'll blame Moyes 30%, but I'll blame United hierarchy 70% for this.
So I think we should bring Chuks into the conversation, right, Moses?
Yeah, precisely. Chuks. All right. So now I'm sure you heard what Deji said earlier on. Now, if Moyes seems to be the problem, you know, what is your reaction to that?
There's a lot of news coming out from Old Trafford that he's not good with. He's not in good time with Leeds, and there's news coming out that he's not in good terms with Roy Van Persie. I mean, if he doesn't have good relationship with his senior players, then I think it's right. It's only right for Moyes to leave.
Okay. Thanks, Chuks. But from what Chuks was saying, he thinks it's because Moyes did not have a good relationship with the players, so he did not earn the respect of the players. If I could hear what he was saying.
Well, I don't exactly buy that 100%. If you walk in a place and the boss is changed professionally, you don't have an opinion on who's coming in. And professionally, you should respect who has come in. His style is likely going to be different. As a professional, you owe the man your respect. He's not coming there to beg your respect. You understand what I'm trying to say? Where I disagree with this attitude of people saying the players and all that is that people keep comparing him to Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson practically made a lot of those players. Take Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs started as a teenager under Alex Ferguson, and he became a legend under Alex Ferguson. That's the only coach Ryan Giggs knows at club level. Some of those players, Rio Ferdinand became the most expensive defender in world football because Sir Alex Ferguson made him that. Rooney became the most expensive teenager in world football. Sir Alex Ferguson made him that. You can go on and on. The class of '92, Paul Scholes, Gary, a lot of these players were made by Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson was like a father figure to them. So Alex Ferguson can do anything and say anything to these players and get away with it. Moyes can't do that. Moyes was on a hiding to nothing. He's coming. If he does well, hey, it's Alex Ferguson's team. The foundations were laid. Any fool, that's what people have said. Any fool would have done well with a team that was champions already. If he doesn't do well, as it has panned out, he's not good enough. But I'm trying to say that the easiest thing to do is to blame David Moyes. That's the easiest thing to do, is to heap the blame on him. That's the easiest thing to do. But I would say that, personally, I feel he inherited a team that had shown signs, creaking signs over the past couple of seasons. And I'll give examples. People were talking about Liverpool, Man City beating United, Liverpool beating United 3-0 at Old Trafford. Hey, this team got beaten 6-1 by Man City a couple of years ago under Alex Ferguson. The signs were there. They had one or two bad losses. I remember Tottenham last season when Gareth Bale took the team apart. It didn't happen often, but I felt the signs were there. 2 seasons ago, and anybody who knows a bit about football will bear me out. United were in a Champions League group that had Otelu Galati. I had never heard the name until then. Basel and Benfica. And United didn't qualify for the knockout stage from that group. The only 2 games United won in that group were against Otelu Galati.
Okay.
And then, you know, when you finish third, they drop you into the Europa League. United was dropped into the Europa League, which is supposed to be the lesser league. And a Spanish team, a mid-level Spanish Athletic Bilbao, beat United home and away.
So, yes, we can establish that there were problems.
The signs were there.
And definitely signs were there. So it wasn't all Moyes' fault. But what could he have done differently that he didn't do?
I felt when he got in there, he needed to take some hard decisions, and he was afraid to take those decisions. Meaning, he needed to look some players in the face and tell them, hey, I do not think you're good enough to play for this club at this time anymore. But I felt he was afraid to do that. A couple of players like Ferdinand, like I think Anderson left. There are a couple of players he was trying to see, but you also have to understand that he's coming, he's got to get to know these players. He hasn't worked with a lot of them. Mm-hmm. He's got to get to know these players. And I also felt that he didn't help himself by always chopping and changing. He never played 2 consistent 11 players match after match. I felt you needed to, once you find your best 11, you need to give them a run. Let them get team spirit flowing, team spirit. But he obviously had his limitations. I think he did not understand the sheer enormity of the job. He didn't grasp how big United were. I've had the privilege of covering matches at Old Trafford. It's a huge club. It's a big club. And I also felt that in the media area, he bungled a little bit. And I also felt United could have helped him by giving him a media-savvy consultant.
All right, Deji, let me stop you there. Chooks, I would like to bring you into the conversation once again, if you can hear me clearly. Now, I'm sure you heard, you've been hearing all the, the Moyes brow. Now, in your own opinion, as an avid, sports or Manchester United fan, what do you think David Moyes did not do right, and what do you think he could have put in place?
I just thought when the result was going pretty bad for United, Moyes could have taken more control. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, go on. We can hear you.
So yeah, he didn't take those decisions that he's meant to do. For example, when we lost a lot of games, and he didn't stand and say to the players in your face that you're not playing well, but rather he not go down to them and just say to them that it's his fault. All the time he takes all the blame and just say it's his fault, when clearly we could all see that the players are playing really, really bad. I mean, I can't remember against Olympiacos. Some of the players, they can't put a simple tackle in.
All right.
It was horrible watching as a United fan that the players, they can't put a tackle in. They shouldn't know which they're playing for. They should know they play for Man United. But they didn't. And I expect Moyes to criticize them for that. Okay,
I get what you're saying. It's not too clear, but I get what he's saying. But one thing I quickly want to address is the time.
Yeah.
Should Moyes have been given more time?
More time, yeah, to get.
Or was this sack needed at this time?
Well, theoretically, you would say yes. Maybe if you give a man 6 years, and you're sacking him after 10 months. Theoretically, yes. But I think the hierarchy, the hand was forced by two main reasons. One, we hear there's £200 million to be spent on players in the summer, reportedly. Now, I think they looked at it and said, okay, United, what's the attraction? They've not qualified for the Champions League. Would David Moyes, as a manager, who is not offering Champions League football, would he be able to attract the top quality players United need to get out of this rot? And I think if you look at that critically, the answer to that would be no. So I think they feel, okay, if we don't have the attraction of Champions League football to offer players, probably let's have a high-profile manager who some players would want to come and play for. And I think that's why United will probably be going for a top-heavy,
so they're hoping a big name will attract big players.
Exactly. I think that's the reason they felt, hey, £200 million. In fairness, he's not exactly done too well in the transfer market, even though he's been handicapped. So I think that's what forced the team's hand.
Okay, but we have to say that Moyes have done a few things right. Like, he's the first Man U manager since Walter Krickner in April 1931 to start life with a victory. So he started, so he did start well. So he did a few things right. You're laughing. What did he do right?
One thing I think Moyes did, for which United fans should be eternally grateful, he kept Rooney in the club. Okay. If Alex Ferguson had continued, I'm not sure Rooney would have stayed. And if Rooney had left, I think it would have led to an exodus of players from the club. So he managed to keep Rooney, despite the fact that they had a bit of history. He managed to get Rooney on board and got Rooney to sign a long-term contract, and I think that was massive. He, in fairness to him, United's statement thanked him for his honesty, hard work, and integrity. He may not have succeeded, but he tried his darnest to succeed. He did his best. Maybe he's limited, maybe he doesn't have the quality of getting success, but he did what he could. I would rather say that the United hierarchy should look at themselves. We've been talking about Moyes. Okay. What did we do wrong
with this guy?
How did we bungle this succession? How did we bungle this transition from Alex Ferguson? Okay. I think the hierarchy should look themselves in the face, and instead of just saying, hey, Moyes, they look at themselves and say, there were some things we did fundamentally wrong.
All right, you know what? We love Sir Ferguson, and we respect his decisions. Now, taking into cognizance what, in fact, the press has even tagged an historical failure for Manchester United, what do you think, why do you think Ferguson was so confident in Moyes in the first place?
Good question. In fairness, Moyes earned the job. He ticked all the boxes, and there were some underlying factors. United, traditionally a team that tries to develop young talent, bring players through. And maybe I'll mention the boxes he ticked. They wanted a manager who had ample Premiership experience. He ticked that box. They wanted a manager who had a history of bringing young players through. You can argue when Rooney was a player, he brought him on at Everton. A couple of other players you can mention. He ticked that box. They wanted a manager, because United are going through a financial crisis behind the scenes. A manager who will be pragmatic, who won't have too much money to spend and still keep the team competitive. He ticked that box as well. So, and he'd been a Premiership manager for so long. So I felt that those were the boxes he ticked, and they felt with some little bit of support here and there, he will be successful. They were thinking long term. That's why they gave him a 6-year.
Okay, let's take a look at, I don't know if you've seen this, but he has released a statement following his sack, and he was all thankful, for the opportunity given. But he omitted mentioning the players. Okay, so
Yeah, that could have been, I think,
was that an intentional omission?
It could have been an oversight. It could have been intentional. I can't speak for Moyes. But honestly, if it was intentional...
It says a lot?
It says a lot. Because we've seen matches where players, some of the United players are texting on their phone during games. I must say, some of the behavior of some United players in this period, for me, as a United fan, was appalling. It did not do themselves. Some of them on the pitch of play were not even trying enough. You've got to earn your pay. You can't say, hey, I don't respect Moyes, I don't respect the manager, and then not give your best. That's wrong. Okay,
let's go on the break for now. And then when we come back, we'll continue talking about Moyes' succession plans and how the fans react. Welcome back. Now we still have football enthusiasts in the set rather. I'm already saying stadium. In the set. So Moses, I am right. I know we have the online community saying what is
to be here. Now, our very first tweet comes from LD, and he says that I can't help but see this as an Alex Ferguson's failure. Moyes sacked. And Chofamba says #Moyes sack at Manchester United should have wielded axe sooner and rescued our Champions League spot. Sacking welcome all the same.
Okay, so we have two different opinions there. The first one is saying, I blame Alex. And the second one is saying they should have sacked this guy
a long time ago.
In your opinion, do you think Alex probably did not make the right decision or did not leave the right team for anybody?
Well,
so
I
would it be
not.
Alex?
I would say anything Sir Alex Ferguson does for Manchester United, he does from the heart. He does with love and honest intentions. His choice of David Moyes, he hasn't worked, but he actually felt that this was a man, honest, hardworking, gritty man who would do a good job for me. But I just feel that Moyes and United, he's a victim of circumstances. Alex Ferguson left. He's like your chairman and the MD of a very successful company living at the same time.
Two key players.
Two key men left at the same time. And what does United do? United bring in, I felt at that point they could have brought in somebody with some experience. They brought in a total rookie when it comes to managing at this level to come and become the MD. And you have a rookie MD and a rookie coach. Rookie in the sense of David Moyes hadn't handled a club of this magnitude before. Okay. So I think that was a body blow for the club. Okay. But I felt they didn't handle that properly. And I also felt that there were some things they could have done. They could have brought in a football director. Some clubs have a football director for that interim period to try and get the deals done. It was obvious that Ed Woodward couldn't get those deals done. When he came in, he was weighing over his head. He couldn't get the deals done. And they were chasing, with Moyes and himself, they were chasing unrealistic targets.
Okay, but Moyes is out, but Ed is still in.
Yeah. Now, this is my concern, and I think I mentioned it before he came on here as a fan. Ryan Giggs is in charge till the end of the season. Managers, clubs are already plotting the players they want to buy next season. If it is Louis van Gaal that United are going after, he will not be able to do anything until the World Cup ends because he's taking Holland to the World Cup. He's going to focus on that because he has a team that has an outside chance of doing well or winning the World Cup, so he's going to focus on that. So I think he's going to start short-handed because by the time he settles in, probably the best players that you want might be gone.
Okay, so at this point, we don't only have comments on Twitter and Facebook. We also have video comments. People have a lot to say about this issue, but let's hear what they have to say, then we'll come back and discuss it.
It's new, and I guess probably maybe due to his contract, maybe there's some contradiction he has signed that if he was unable to do one or this or that, he will be shown the way out. But possibly in my own view, he should have been given more time, more chance, at least for like 2 seasons minimum. To know more about the players and to know more about the field of play. But since they've sacked him, I wish him the best.
He being sacked, to me, maybe he didn't meet up to expectation because you wouldn't expect such a man. For example, a legend drop a mantle on you and you couldn't live up to the expectation. Definitely, then you have no choice than to you just get off the track. But to me, if you meet up to the standard or you meet up to expectation, definitely you won't be sacked. But to me, I just wish all the best anyway. I wish all the best because it is well.
Okay, so if there's something we all heard now is, on one hand, the first guy was saying, he should have been given more time, and I wish him well. Oh, so that's someone who supports Moyes. Well. And the other guy is basically saying those shoes were too big for Moyes to fill.
Yeah, and he spoke about meeting expectation. Speaking about that, trying to match up, Moyes with an icon as Sir Alex Ferguson. Do you think the pressure on him was fair?
I think, well, I say this as a fan again. I think a lot of Manchester United fans, the younger generation, only know United, the successful club. You understand? So they've been fed a diet of success under Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm talking about people who are 30 and under, who said United was 27 years old. They cannot comprehend this situation. They're not used to it. I'm a lifelong United fan. I was a United fan 73 when United were relegated.
Wow.
So I know what it is to feel both sides of it. And I do know that why I'm a bit angry about this is the fact that you learn from history. I felt that United management hierarchy, even though they might not have been there then, some of us fans realized we had been in this situation before. And a couple of things happened and we went down this spiral.
So this
it took
is
United
new.
and we're making the same mistakes. That's my concern. We're making the same mistakes. Because now, my fear is you bring in a top heavy, where he's going to get, don't feel sorry for Moyes, he's going to get like a hefty payoff. He's lost a job, but he's going to get like, probably the reports say he might get 10 million pounds.
Yeah.
I'll retire on that, gladly. So, you bring in money for players to be bought, you bring in, the new manager is not going to come cheap, because it's going to be a top heavy, top quality manager. It's not going to come, you spend all that money. What if it doesn't work?
Okay, let me pause you there. Let's bring Chooks. Chooks, I hope you've been listening. Now, before I get your personal opinion on everything, let's know what the fans have been saying. So what do you think the reaction has been towards this on your end?
Yeah, from most of United fans that I go to matches with, we've been texting each other, we've been Skyping each other, and it's a good news. We are hoping that we get a new manager soon, someone that could take United to a new level, because, you know, sliding from being champions to seventh position is not something that United will want, or the fans as well. So we just hope that we get a good manager. Most United fans will want Jurgen Klopp,
Okay.
but I'm not sure that will happen.
Earlier when we were talking, you were quite confident that United will make a great comeback. But with what Deji had just said, that comeback might not come anytime soon, at least not until after the World Cup. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, majority of United fans, the one who goes to matches, we are not expecting to win the league next season, and we are not expecting to win the Champions League next season. We are happy to wait until that success comes. But what we cannot do is to watch our team play the way Moyes' team plays. We cannot accept that. We need to see United playing attacking football. That's what we want to see.
He's a very loyal fan. But Deji, quickly tell me, if you were to suggest likely coaches that they should get, we know there's Luis and then there are other options. Unfortunately, they're not going to be getting Pep and Juga. But who do you think would be in the best position to fill?
Well, you can understand, they have to get a big name now. It's got to be a big name. Because like I said, it's got to be a big name that can attract the big players, so to speak. Because there's no offer of Champions League football on the table. So a Louis van Gaal will probably be a very good fit. You know, when people mention some of these coaches, you never know. You've had big name successes elsewhere. There was a Johan Ramos who was very successful in Spain. He came to England, he bombed. There was Andres Villas-Boas, who's had 2 stints in England. It's not a given that because a coach is successful elsewhere, he will be successful in England. But so that's why I understand why Louis van Gaal, because he's seen it done that, he's elderly, he can attract some good players, might be a good fit. But for me, it won't be a long-term fit. I think United should do what Barcelona did. On the long term, if it is Ryan Giggs that we feel is the man for the future, whoever comes in, let Ryan Giggs be right next to him. Let him be understudy, knowing that Ryan Giggs, in 3, 4, 5 years' time, you are going to be the boss.
Okay.
And let's go through that process. All right. And that's where I feel United got it wrong. I think they never thought, maybe they thought Ferguson was going to go on forever, and they never really planned the succession. And when it hit us that Ferguson was leaving, the plan was really not in place to replace him.
All right, let me break in there. Now, going on social media again, on Twitter, a lot of people have been tweeting, some very funny, cartoonish images, I might add. Now, the very first one that we have here is Moyes. We see Moyes, tapping one of the players on the back, and he says, "Our plan to destroy Man U is working." Now, I have to say that that's not Moyes' true intention, but that's just a cartoonish image. Now, the next one says, Moyes is like, "I'm out of ideas already, guys. What did Fergie used to do?" And the others were like, "You can pay the refs." And then we see the last one where Alex Ferguson was giving Moyes a huge spank on the back and saying that, "I told you, just pay the refs."
So like this grand plan to destroy Man U and get Everton up there.
Yeah.
Because someone did mention that Alex had influence even outside the pitch. So maybe that explains it. Okay, I'm just kidding. Now, it was reported that United shares trading on the New York stock went up more than 6.5% after Moyes' sack, resulting in a whopping £100 million value appreciation. Now, that's big money. Now, gentlemen, there seems to be so much expectation from United's manager, Deji. What kind of manager are we looking out for? We know already one of the things you said is we need a big name.
Yeah.
But aside having a big name, let's also look at tactics and let's look at strategies.
Yeah, there's a big name manager who plays, like I think Chuk said, who plays attacking, free-flowing, flamboyant football, going forward, never giving up. With the team is 2 goals down, 3 goals down, they never know when they're beaten. Somebody said the most beautiful sight in world football is United chasing a game when they're behind. So that's the kind of thing United players, my fans would want, and I think that's what they're going to go for. That's flamboyant. But realistically, though, I just feel that the team United has right now needs a drastic overhaul, a completely drastic overhaul to get us back. Because for me, tactically, one of the problems United don't have a transition game. What do I mean by transition game? Switching defense to attack quickly. We simply do not have the legs. United does not have a player like a Rosicky of Arsenal or a Hazard of Chelsea who will take the ball and run 40, 50 yards.
Okay.
As good as Michael Carrick is, as good as Fletcher is, they do not have the legs to do that. So once you cannot do that, teams find it easy to defend against you because even when you have the ball, they can retreat. You're moving the ball around slowly. They can set their stalls around their 18-yard box, and you become so easy to defend against. That's what happened to United this season. We simply must get the kind of players. So I want United fans to know this team is not going to be turned into a world-beating team overnight. Like Chuk said, maybe not in the next couple of years. It's not going to be turned. So you don't expect a new manager to come and hey, he's winning everything next season. It's a process. It's a transitional period, and it'll probably take a year or two.
Okay.
Let me bring Chuks in. Chuks, do you, in your own opinion, do you think there is any succession plan as we speak in Manchester United?
We wouldn't know that, to be honest. The hierarchy, like he's been mentioning, they've let United fans down. We're really disappointed with them. We don't know who is coming in. We hope, like I said, a lot of United fans, there is a London-based MUFC fan, there is Newcastle-based MUFC fan. Now all we want is Jurgen Klopp. And it's so sad that he already ruled himself out of the job. So it's like we're just waiting for Louis van Gaal, because it's the only option left, because we need a big name. But our first option is just Jurgen Klopp, because in him we see a lot of what we want from a United coach.
Chooks, let's look at Arsenal, for example. They're experiencing an about 9-year trophy drought. So for about 9 years now, they haven't gone home with the trophy. But Arsene Wenger is still there. Now, why didn't we give Moyes that same chance?
Yeah, look, Arsene Wenger, there's a difference between Arsene Wenger and Moyes. Arsene Wenger has been there. He's been to every Champions League in those 7 years. He's qualified him for the Champions League. That's a lot of money for the clubs. He's using players that we don't know of. I mean, he gave us Schillaci. Arsene Wenger gave us Karen Gibbs. These are players that are not known, and still he plays good football with them, and they qualify for Champions League every single season. Arsenal haven't gone from first position to play in 7th position. That's the slump that we've got. You know, that at the time when we were playing Liverpool, we were about, I think, 44 points They were 44 points better off than us. That's huge from just last year. So Arsene Wenger has been doing a great job. If I'm an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't want Arsene Wenger sacked because he's doing a great job with Arsenal and he hasn't got the big players.
How would you react to that, Deji?
Well, for me, I have a lot of Arsenal friends, and I hear a lot of talk. Some of them, as Wenger must be that and all that. But like Chuk said, Arsene Wenger is probably the only manager in world football who manages to keep his team competitive while not spending crazy amounts of money. This season was the first time Arsene Wenger went out of the box and got a player for £42 million. Mesut Ozil, he hardly ever does that. But under the same circumstances, under the same conditions, I do not think of any manager, including Alex Ferguson, who can keep the team as competitive as Wenger has managed to do under the same circumstances. The club is in the blue. Unlike Manchester United, they don't have massive debts like Man City, like Chelsea. They don't have massive debts. They're the blue. They moved. If you've been to Emirates Stadium, it's a fantastic stadium.
Yes.
You know, and he's grown Arsenal's share price, if I'm not mistaken, from about 4p per share 20 years ago to about £400 per share. So he's done a tremendous job. And the club still retains its competitive edge. And I think that's what Chooks is trying to say. So for me, he's following the club's pattern. This is what we want to achieve. And if at the end of the day, yes, it's not won trophies and all that, but it's, like I always like to say, at the end of every football season, only a handful of clubs will win trophies. But that's not to say all the other clubs have failed. And who knows, he might end that drought. He's in the FA Cup final. The chances are he might end that trophy drought. And like he said, they're likely going to qualify for the Champions League. So he's kept the team competitive. A lot of Arsenal fans want him out. A lot of them say all kinds of things. But the hierarchy at Arsenal, this is what they want. And the manager is getting the result they want at the level they want it. So they're fine. They're fine with it. And that's where the United hierarchy got it wrong, differently. I just feel that, for instance, Arsenal will probably have the same problem that United are having now because Arsene Wenger at some point would leave. So they also have got to put a proper succession plan in place so that you don't have the same kind of situations. But I just feel that for the life of me, for all the experience, for all the years of success, I think United hierarchy just didn't think of a proper succession plan ahead of Alex Ferguson leaving. Okay, and I think they didn't do enough to adequately replace him.
Let's breathe a little and go on a break, and we'll be right back.
For the past few months and years now, they've not been playing the way they used to play, and they have lost like more than 11 matches now. I think that the team, they are not well coordinated. So I'll prefer if they get a new coach that will take the club forward so that they can get to the finals, because now they are nowhere to be found. They are really, really at the back. Even some clubs that are not that popular are now ahead of them.
Okay, welcome back. I'm sure the online community is buzzing.
Yes, they are. And,
what are they saying?
Yeah, we just got a few ones, and this one just came in from Benjamin Zand, and he says, or even as a LFC fan, I can help feel a little sorry for David Moyes. He should have stayed at Everton. Hashtag Moyes is out. Now, and this one says, from Can says, hashtag Moyes out is a joke. Why would you want to get rid of such a record-breaking legendary manager? Hashtag save Moyes. I'm sure you're going to laugh.
Is he being sarcastic?
And Neil Baker says, already seen tweets about feeling sorry for him. I don't. It's going to take 2 seasons to repair the damage he's done. Hashtag Moyes out. And Adam says, I could accept finishing 7th if signs of progress were there. Some sort of blueprint for the future. But there is nothing but failure. Hashtag Moyes out. And Henry Bature says, no need attacking Moyes. The current carcass of a Man U team isn't his. Wait till next season when he builds his. In the meantime, hashtag Moyes out. Yep.
The last statement captures it properly. It is unfair. I think it's very unfair for United fans to say he's destroyed the team. What has he added to the team? 2 players, Fellaini and Mata. The majority of the players, he didn't bring them there. you can say he failed to inspire the players, but like I will continue to say, as a Man U fan, if Man U fans don't want to be realistic, the signs of a rot in this team have been evident for a while. I gave you the example of when United could not qualify from a group that had Otelu, Galati, Basel, and Benfica, and Athletic Bilbao beat United home and away in the UEFA Cup. 6-1 a few years ago. But Ferguson, by the sheer force of his personality, dragged the team to performance levels that ordinarily they wouldn't achieve. The signs, the creative midfield conundrum had been there. United have not had a creative midfielder for like 4 or 5 years. Not one. So, the signs have been there. So, like I said, it's easy to say, hey, Moyes is losing. It's easy to blame it on Moyes. But we've got to be realistic and say, hey, for me, United need like 6, 7 top quality players to turn this team from what it is to world beaters. If you feel that Louis van Gaal will turn this team in its present state, with the present squad, to world beaters, you've got another thing coming.
So they have to lose some and gain some.
Exactly. Yeah. It has to be a total overhaul. And Moyes couldn't have done that in 10 months.
Okay. Chooks, what do you think United would need to do to get to where they are used to being?
I totally agree with him. We need a complete overhaul of the team. I would say about 4 or 5 players don't deserve to be there. So yeah, we do need an overhaul of the team, and we just hope the new coach will do that. We need We need about 6 or 7 good players, like he said. Giving an example when we couldn't qualify against that horrible team that I can't even mention the name. So yeah, I completely agree that United need to overhaul the team.
Okay, on one hand, some people feel bad for Moyes. On the other hand, some are saying he's going home with big money. But what do you think? What's the future for? What's the future going to be like for Moyes?
I think David Moyes is fine. He will get another job. Definitely, he will get another chance. Like a lot of the managers are saying, he will get another chance. And I think he's a great coach. Just not right for United. I don't blame him. I blame the hierarchy. Moyes will be fine. He's got lots of money as well from us, so that's good for him.
All right.
Deji, do you think so?
Yeah, you know what they say about coaches? Only 2 things are certain in your life. You will get sacked, you will get another job. That's the life of coaches.
In fact, one of our tweeters says, don't feel too sorry for him. He will get a good job. He's probably taking a morning swim.
I want to go there.
Now, there is this nickname about Moyes. In fact, he's tagged Dittering Dave. We know that Dieter is someone who's somewhat indecisive. Yeah. So do you think that it's basically in his nature, as a bad leader or as a bad manager?
No, I don't think so. For me, I think Moyes did a fantastic job at Everton. I will not put him down because he's not done well at United. As managers go, let me break it down what he did. Everton was a team that was always struggling with relegation. 17th, 18th, always struggling with it. Moyes came, and for 11 years, he kept them in the top half of the table on little or no budget, minimal budget. And for once they ended up 4th, a couple of times they ended up 6th. Once they qualified for the Champions League, but they couldn't go there.
So we can say he did a good job.
He did a fantastic job at Everton. Maybe United was too big for him, or Sir Alex Ferguson's shoes were too big for him, but for people to come and say he's useless, no, I wouldn't buy that.
So those are your final words.
I wouldn't buy that. Yeah.
All right, Chooks, final words from you?
David Moyes is a great manager. Not right for United. He was fantastic at Everton. I wish him good luck with his next job, and I know he'll be fine.
All right.
Looks like he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Was a victim of circumstances.
So we've been talking football, Man United, and David Moyes. Let's continue the conversation online. But first of all, I want to thank Deji, and I want to thank Chooks, David
Moyes.
Thank you all for being a part of this show. Remember, go back online and let's continue this conversation. Thanks for watching. Bye.